What if the most terrifying stories humanity has ever encountered were not whispered around campfires or invented for entertainment? Welcome to Mr. Whisper's Official. And before these lost tapes begin to play, take a moment now to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this channel is dedicated to slow but typed into reports, stamped with dates, filed into cabinets, and quietly locked away. And as distorted audio hums beneath the sound of flipping pages, declassified documents flash across the screen, their language calm, procedural, and unsettlingly precise, revealing a truth that feels heavier than fiction. Because these lost tapes are not legends. They are records, accounts written by pilots, soldiers, scientists, investigators, and witnesses who believed strongly enough in what they saw to put it on paper, sign their names, and submit it to systems designed to categorize reality. And the concept behind these animated lost tapes is simple yet deeply disturbing. Taking real-world unexplained phenomena that have been officially acknowledged, declassified, or quietly released, and reconstructing them in a gritty archival animation style that strips away dramatization and replaces it with atmosphere, forcing us to confront how thin the line truly is between the known and the unknown. Because when fear is documented, it loses theatrics but gains credibility. And that credibility is what makes these accounts linger in the mind long after the screen fades to black. And as you listen, you begin to notice how often the reports avoid conclusions, how frequently they end with phrases like unexplained, undetermined, or no further action taken. And that pattern suggests something far more unsettling than a cover-up. It suggests resignation, the quiet acknowledgement that some things were encountered that could not be understood, controlled, or explained. And so they were archived instead, sealed away not to protect the public from panic, but perhaps to protect our understanding of reality from fracture. Because if these events are accepted as real, then the world becomes far less predictable. And as the vault door creaks open, one truth becomes unavoidable. These tapes were not buried because they were meaningless. They were buried because they were too meaningful to leave unanswered. Welcome to Mr. Whisper's Official. And before these lost tapes begin to play, take a moment now to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this channel is dedicated to slow, immersive horror, rooted in real-world mysteries, declassified files and encounters that were never meant to be revisited. And tonight, as you settle into the dark and let the volume stay low and steady, understand that what you are about to hear is not presented as fiction, but as something far more unsettling. Documented accounts pulled from the edges of official history, animated and reconstructed so you can experience them as closely as possible. Because once these tapes resurface, they do not simply tell a story, they reopen questions that have been deliberately buried. The first tape stabilizes on December 9th, 1965, Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, where residents reported a massive fireball tearing across the evening sky, shaking houses, rattling windows, and ending in a controlled descent into the nearby woods. And official documents describe an object of unknown origin, acorn-shaped, metallic, partially embedded in the ground. And through animation, the night is reconstructed with chilling restraint. the orange glow between the trees, the sudden arrival of military vehicles, the hurried voices of officers establishing a perimeter, and eyewitness reports that would later be dismissed yet never disproven, describing strange symbols etched into the surface, seamless metal that reflected light unnaturally, and a recovery operation conducted with urgency that suggested familiarity rather than confusion. And the documents never align perfectly. Some reference debris, others reference a satellite. But no satellite launched at the time matches the trajectory or shape described. And decades later, the inconsistencies remain unresolved. Not because answers were found, but because the questions were quietly set aside. Then the tape cuts to March 1967, Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana, where Declassified Air Force reports detail an event that directly challenged national security assumptions. Unidentified aerial objects appearing above nuclear missile silos, followed by the sudden and simultaneous shutdown of multiple intercontinental ballistic missiles. And as the animation recreates the underground control rooms, the tension is almost clinical. Officers following procedure, checking redundancies, reporting failures that should not occur, and realizing in real time that something unknown has demonstrated the ability to neutralize the most advanced weapons system on Earth. And what makes this account especially unsettling is not speculation, but testimony. Sworn statements from trained personnel who had nothing to gain from fabrication. And the implications ripple outward. Because if an unknown presence once interfered with nuclear systems, then it did so deliberately, precisely, and without resistance. And finally, the tape degrades into static before resolving into the frozen silence of February 1959 Dyatlov Pass, where, newly declassified, Soviet files reopen one of the most disturbing mysteries on record. An experienced hiking group was found dead under circumstances so bizarre that even official investigators struggled to maintain objectivity. Tents cut open from the inside, bodies scattered across the slope. Injuries inconsistent with avalanches, exposure, or human violence alone. And through animation, the discovery unfolds slowly, methodically, guided by forensic reports rather than speculation, until the weight of unanswered questions becomes overwhelming. Because every explanation accounts for some details, but not all, and the files end as they began, with facts listed plainly and no conclusion offered, only silence. When the final tape clicks off, what remains is not clarity, but unease. Because these cases persist not due to imagination, but because documentation exists. Because professionals trained to observe reality encountered something that did not fit within it. And now, decades later, the internet has become a secondary archive, a place where lost tapes resurface, are dissected, debated, and slowly absorbed into modern consciousness, blurring the line between history and horror. And this is where you become part of the mystery, because there are more files, more incidents, more accounts waiting to be revisited. And I invite you to share your own research, theories, or overlooked cases in the comments, helping shape future episodes of these animated lost tapes. Because fear does not vanish when it is ignored. It adapts, waiting for the right medium to resurface. And as you sit with that thought, consider this final image, a single declassified page, heavily redacted, stamped approved for release, yet still refusing to tell the full story, reminding us that the most frightening discoveries are not found in fiction, but in the quiet language of official reports, where the truth is often stranger than anything we could invent. And if these accounts followed you into the dark, remember to subscribe to Mr. Whispers Official, because the vault is far from empty and the next tape is already waiting to be played.